Great. Thank you so much for staying with us. Time now for our Beyond the Scars conversation. Keep your feedback coming. I see a few of it already at KTN News KE, at Grace Korea KE. As usual, I'll be happy to sample your feedback, questions, comments to my guest who is already with me in studio, Mr. Jason Mose. Karibu sana. Thank you so much for joining us today. And he is here to share his story of losing his daughter to the 2017, September 2nd, 2017, Moi Girls fire tragedy. Quite really unfortunate, I must say. But sir, before we even get to that, I want you to tell us what kind of a child Esther Neema was, if we could fondly, remember her in her childhood years.
Okay. Esther had grown to be a very fine young girl. She was 14 years when the tragedy happened. She was very obedient, young girl, very self-driven. She didn't need any prompting to do her studies. In 2016, she became the school head girl. She was at Sept Schools, Woodley. For her to have gotten that position of head girl, they had to do a campaign. And the campaign included, just like the normal campaign, political campaigns that we have, printing posters and campaigning right from lower primary to upper primary, and she did very well, and she won. She was voted in, and she had a manifesto for the school.
What was in her manifesto?
To promote discipline, to make Sept Woodley a drug-free environment, and to enforce discipline and grooming, good grooming for the kids in the school. And she did that very well. The principal tells me that you could see her go to the lower primary to make sure the young girls and boys are well groomed, they're okay, and she was a very caring person, so to speak, and the school loved her. I could say she naturally had very good leadership skills, and the principal tells me that when she made a speech during the morning assembly, he didn't need to add anything to that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah.
And she later on joined Moi Girls.
Yeah, she did well in KCP, and she joined Moi Girls in January 2017. She was excited to join that school. Our experience the first time was very good at Moi Girls, and she said nothing but good things about Moi Girls and our experience there. During her time there, during the first and second terms, she had what I could say from the tribute that the friends gave, a very positive influence on our classmates, on our friends. All of them say that she taught them something, one or two things about life and about how to carry themselves around in school. She loved reading. She read so many books. She was a very good storyteller. Every time I came from work in the evening, she would tell me to put aside everything that I had and listen to her, and I'd give her like 20 minutes, and she would tell me what she has read during the day or the past days, and it was very interesting to listen to her narrate and tell stories about different books that she had read, and she was a very interesting girl to be around.
Okay, so she was in Form 1, clearly, right?
Yeah, she was in Form 1.
Okay,
yes.
I want us to talk more about your father-daughter relationship, because me, with my dad, so he passed on, but before that, I mean, we were always this close. I'm a daddy's girl. Was it the same with Esther?
It was the same with her. She loved me, I think, too much, and I loved her too much. And in fact, one of the notes from one of our friends is like, I know you loved your dad so much, and I know he loves you, even if you are gone. And that's when I realized how much she talked about me to her friends in school. I remember I think she asked me for something one morning, and I told her, I don't think I'll be able to do that. She just laughed and told me, there's nothing I've ever asked you that you've not given me. So she just dismissed me.
Yeah.
So we had a very good father-daughter relationship, and she was very fond of me, if I may say so. And she always talked about me to her friends, and she was very proud of me as her father, and I was also very proud of her as my daughter. She didn't need to be told anything. She's one of these girls, are self-driven, and I effortlessly walked through life with her because of her character of self-drivenness. And when it came to our studies, I was the one who was telling her to slow down. So sometimes we go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. When I wake up, I find the lights are on when she was reading. Yeah.
Okay. So now let's go to September 2nd. It was a Saturday, right?
Yeah, it was a
Because I
Saturday
remember
morning,
I was part of the media crew that went over to the school. Most of the parents who spoke to that day say they got to know about it on TV. You switch on your television and the first thing you see is breaking news. Moi Girls is on fire. How did you get to know about it? Before we even talk about now her passing on.
Yeah. On 1st of September, I'd come out of the country, arrived in the country, and traveled out of the country. And as I was at home, I had this strong feeling to call her or to go to school and see her. And I made arrangements with the school. I could pick her twice a month for a mentorship program that she was going through. And I knew that if I went to school, I'll be able to pick her. And this strong feeling, stayed with me the whole day. But when it came to 5 o'clock, when I knew that I would no longer be able to go to school, I rationalized and I told myself, I'll go tomorrow and see her. And I'd purpose to go see her Saturday morning on 2nd to go see her. But I was on duty. I was going to work that morning, so I went to work. I just got to work. I'd not even opened my laptop, and a phone call came in from my niece, and she told me she's seen in social media that there was fire at Moi Girls, and I immediately made my way to Moi Girls, and on my way, of course, that's when I looked at messages on my phone. I saw so many messages from different groups, different people, different friends trying to reach out to me.
When you were on your way, what was going through your mind? Because her being one of those that lost their lives was, I would assume, was definitely not in your mind. You probably wanted to just get there and find her safe, take her home. What was going through your mind then?
That was not on my mind at all. I was, I'd already received some news that about 7 girls at that time had passed on. That was what was in the media, and that worried me a bit. But of course, as a parent, you're hoping that your child is okay.
Yes.
And as much as I was, I didn't know actually. I drove from all the way to Moi Girls, but I was in a world where
you were
I was
alone.
not sure. Yeah, I was alone. I was alone. When I got to school, I found there were so many people. That's when I realized the magnitude of what had happened. I thought it's a small fire because I didn't have information. But when I got there, I saw the crowd, the riot police, and everybody, confusion all over. That's when I panicked a little bit. But I got a little bit relieved when I got to our classmates. I went straight to our classroom, and I found so many of our classmates there. They told me, no, we saw her, she came out, so she must be around. So I relaxed. I started looking for her, thinking that she was amongst the crowd of students. So of course information was not forthcoming. People didn't have information on what is happening. The parents wanted to know where their girls are and all that. That caused a lot of anxiety within myself.
Yes.
And the longer I took, the more anxious I became. And what I did, I asked a few relatives to go around in hospitals because I didn't find her in the compound. I told them to go around in hospitals to see whether they can trace her among the kids who had been taken to hospital. And she was nowhere. And that really got me now getting worked up. the school administration, there's certain protocols you have to follow in terms of release of information with the Ministry of Education, and I had to wait for that together with the other parents. Yeah.
Then what happened next?
Yeah. So next, we were told that all the girls have been accounted for, and if your child is still missing, then we were called to go for a debrief. And of course, at this time, you're not thinking of the worst. You're thinking that she's somewhere.
She's somewhere. She must be somewhere.
Either she's gone home. We didn't say far from the school. So I actually called him. The brother, the younger brother, was at home. I called him to find out whether the sister has come home. So we went to the debrief. We were debriefed. We were told there are 8 bodies at that time that had been retrieved from the burnt dormitory.
Yes.
And we were told to identify the bodies. Of course, there were some counselors over there who held our hands, and as we went to check the bodies, I was still not thinking that she can be among the ones, but the bodies were badly burnt, and they told us there's no need of even looking. So we insisted we wanted to see. So they opened one of the burnt girls, and they told us that they're all the same. So we didn't bother. All the parents who were there, we didn't bother to look at the rest of the bodies. And that was it. And of course, when we left that the place where we viewed the bodies, I still didn't think that she was among those girls. So I stayed in the school and demanded to see the list that they had, the reconciliation that they had done for the students who had gone home, because all the students had been sent home, and to know exactly how many in hospital, how many, and to see the names. But that information was not forthcoming. And until now, at 6 p.m. in the evening, that's when one of the district education officers approached me and told me, "Sir, your daughter is among the 8 who died."
Your daughter?
My daughter was among the 8 who were involved in who lost their lives in the tragedy. Of course, I broke down at that very moment, and I didn't know what to think. I had some friends around who took me home. When I got home, I was still didn't believe the news. I slept. I didn't actually sleep, through the night, waiting for morning. At 5 a.m. I woke up. I started going from one hospital to another.
That was 5 a.m.
5 a.m. on Sunday morning.
The following day.
Yeah, to look for her. And of course, my efforts were in futility because she was not there.
Yeah.
And slowly, I took that news slowly, but it took me a long time to take it in that she had gone. What complicated the issue is that the DNA had to take some time to be analyzed. Because we could not recognize them. They were burnt beyond recognition. It took some time.
How long did it take?
It took about a week.
Okay.
It took shorter than the government had announced.
Yes.
And we were able to go to Chiromo and be told and identify the body for Estanema. Yeah.
So when you... Because again, you're telling us on Sunday you still went ahead to look for her in various hospitals. Clearly, you were yet to come to terms with what the officer told you the previous day. So after this DNA process, and you at Chiromo mortuary a week later, and it's now confirmed, like fully confirmed, there is no any doubt, there's no shadow of a doubt. What do you do?
Of course, I was in denial, still in denial. As much as I'd seen the body had been shown the DNA results, the process, the death certificate from the Chiromo mortuary, I was still in denial. It took me a long time for me to come into terms that Esther had indeed left. Even after the burial. After I went to the burial, I was still in denial. Even after seeing the burnt body, I was still in denial that my daughter had died. The few days that followed after that, it was the pain was too much. I was actually not myself, so to speak. I could not sleep. I had palpitations at night. I was gliding through. I could see people, but I was not seeing them. Literally, I was not there, and that followed for several months, even after we buried her. I found myself when buying stuff for her, and that was so painful because to me it had not registered that she was gone. So I think I made a trip out of the country, and I found myself going to the malls and buying something for her. And even when I came to Kenya, I did the same thing. It is a painful experience to lose a child, and it's nothing that I want to wish even my worst enemy. So it's been a long journey, painful journey of asking questions. Of course, you, as a Christian, I ask God so many questions. Ask him why he did not protect my daughter in school, and sometimes you can't get answers to those questions.
I know that too well.
I can't get those answers, and it's been a long journey of trying to get into terms with the whole situation, you find yourself going through life without knowing that you're going through life. It's as if I left. I am there, you'll see me, but I'm not there at the same time. It's as if I left. To a point that I had to get help, counseling help. Thank God for friends and my colleagues from work, my pastors from Sept, who went out of their way to make sure that I am okay, and even got me help, in terms of counseling. But even as you sit through the counseling sessions, nothing makes sense to you. You're just sitting there. Sometimes I sat there because those friends pushed me to sit in those counseling sessions. I didn't want to be there. But then now, looking back, I realize how helpful they were.
They were.
Yeah. So through those efforts, through those sessions where I was not even there, I found that there was strength that carried me through without knowing, to a point that I was able to now come back to my senses. And coming back to my senses now is realizing that she's actually gone, and she's not there. But every time I'm in the house, I get out of the house, everywhere I am, there are memories all around about her, and I can't help but think about her all the time. Many times I cry. Of course, they say men are not supposed to cry in public, but I cry. Many times I cry.
I differ with that.
Yeah. yeah. So I cry alone in the car when I'm driving. It is so painful. It's a painful experience to lose a child the way I lost her.
Yeah.
And it happened so suddenly. Yeah. Before I took her to school, she had actually told me, the night before I took her to school, she had told me that she didn't want to go to school. She told me to get a different school. So I was like, you've told me nothing but nice things about Moi Girls. Why? Yeah. What has happened? Is there something you didn't tell me? Then Esther will be like, there's nothing, I really don't know, but it's just a feeling that I have within me. So I convinced her. It was that term, only 2 months. By the time I get another school, that will take like a month. So we'll have like a month left. So I told her, you go back to Moi Girls. If you still feel the same in November, I'll get you another school. So I'll take you to a different school in January. So in a way, I feel that probably she had a warning about her death, and I wish I'd listened to her But there's no way of knowing as a parent.
Yes,
you know,
yes, it is not your fault.
Yeah, just,
I understand.
Yeah.
You know, because looking back, you would wish probably if you listened to her that would not have happened. But again, it's not your fault. I relate with you because as I told you, I lost my dad, and to date there are times you have to even pinch yourself to accept, to remember that he left. And the worst part for me has been understanding that he's not coming back. So I would imagine you've also been going through the same at some point. But we need to take a short break right now. After the break, you'll tell us more and even about the foundation that you recently launched last week on Monday?
This week. This past week.
This past week on Monday, right? Okay, so let's take that short break. I see your feedback. Keep it coming. At KTN News KE, at Grace Korea KE,